Canto VIII of the Lusiads. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leni. The Lusiads, by Luís Vaz de Camões. Translated by Sir Richard Francis Burton. Canto VIII. Argument of the 8th Canto. The governor of Calicut seeth various pictures upon the banners of the Armada, and heareth the account of them given by Paul da Gama. Origin of the word Lusitania. Glorious feats of the Portuguese kings and of their vassals till the reign of King Dom Afonso V. The Samori ordereth the haruspices to consult futurity respecting the Armada. They report to him evil of the navigators. They attempt to destroy da Gama, who satisfieth the king in a notable speech. Another argument. Vence de Lusitânia os fundadores, e aqueles que por feitos valerosos de alta memória são merecedores, de hinos e de versos numerosos. Como de Calecut os regedores consultam os arúspices famosos, e corruptos com dádivas possantes tratam de destruir os navegantes. Seen are the founders of the Lusian race, and braves whose valiant actions brightest shine, on memory's page deserving highest place, and tuneful hymn and poet's numbered line. What way of Calicut the region's base, consult the famous augurs who design, bought with all-puissant bribes to show their skill, and by their cunning the discoverer's skill. Canto VIII. Tarried the catchwolves standing mute before the first of painted forms that stood in sight, who for device in hand a leaf-branch bore, with meteor beard, long-flowing, flossy white. Whose counterfeit presentment this, wherefore the strange device he holdeth in his right? When Paul with sober accents answering said, while the wise Moor for both interpreted. All of these figures which to thee are shown, so bold in bearing, dreadful to behold, and bolder, dreader far, the men were known, and mouth of fame, for words and works of old. Ancient yet moderns are, still brighter grown, with names ingenious highest rank enrolled. This first in sight is Lucis, from whose fame our Lusitania gained her royal name. He was the Theban son or comrade tried, the god who divers regions overran. It seems he came to hold our Spanish knight, pursuing conquests which his youth began. Douros and Guadiana's plains of pride, of yore Elysian fields, his fancy went so much, he there would give his weary bones the tomb eterne, the term our country owns. The branch device thou seest him bear in hand is the green thyrsus Bacchus wont to wield, which to our century doth believe command he was a comrade or beloved child. Seest thou yon other treading Tagus land, the plower who long hath ploughed the wild sea-field, where the perpetual walls he reared on high, in fane of Pallas for all memory? Ulysses 'tis who builds that sacred fane to her whose favoured tongue fecund supplies. If there he fired tall Troy on Asian plain, here made he mighty Lisbon's walls arise. Who have we here who cumbers with the slain the field whose furious presence frights the eyes? He drives great armies to disgraceful rout, and on his banners painted eagles float. The Gentoo thus, and Gama's answer came. Thou seest a herdsman who his flock forsook. We know that Viriatus was his name, who aye preferred the lance before the crook. He shook and shattered Roman pride and fame. From this unvanquished victor ne'er she took. Ah, no, nor ever could her power take the primacy which Pyrrhus failed to break. Not force but fraud she used, and underhand she filched his life that cowed her coward's pride. For mighty straits make men of honest brand break the magnanimous laws of honor bright. This other here, against his angry land with us forgathered, and exiled white, right well chose he the man wherewith to rise, and of immortal lustre snatch the prize. Thou seest, with us he beats the flags that bear Jove's valiant birds, victorious, sovereign. E'en in those days no brave so brave but where our yoke, subjected to our might and main. See his so subtle arts, his wily care, the people by his deep design to gain. Let prophet Hind a dealing wise advise, Sertorius he, the dole is his device. See now this other painted flag upon of our first kings the great progenitor. Our history makes him to be Hungary's son, but strangers say Lorraine the hero bore. When with the chivalry of proud Leon and the Gallego he lay low the Moor, unto Saint Sepulchre's saintly Henry hied, that might his kingly trunk be sanctified. Say, pray thee, who be this that frights my sight? Asked the stonied man of Malabar. Who all these squadrons, all these men of might, with his thin legions thus can rout and mar? Who breaks such bulwarks, proud in breadth and height? Who gives such battle, never tired of war? Who comes so many crowns in many parts to trample under foot and estendards? The first Afonso 'tis, the Gama spake, by whom the Moor all Portugalia lost, for whom Fame sware her oath by Stygian lake, no more of noble Roman name to boast. The zealot, he whom God would ne'er forsake, by whose brave arm he tames the Moorish host, for whom their walled reign he lays so low, no more is left for future days to do. Had Caesar or King Alexander led a power so puny, men at arms so few, against the multitudes unnumbered, this excellent commander overthrew, deem not their names had earth thus overspread, nor could their deathless glorious death subdue. But leave we such inexplicable deeds, and see what worth of vassal man he leads. This whom thou seest sight with kindling eye, his broken pupil, fierce in high disdain, bidding him rally flying hosts, and try once more the desperate fortunes of the plain, returneth youth with age to do or die, and turns the vanquished vanquisher away. Egas the gallant veteran hied, his knighthood's mirror to each loyal knight. See him here, self-yielded with his sons he goes, naked of silk and cloth, with neck and cord, because the youth to break the promise chose, which to Castile he gave with plighted word. He lured by specious promises the foes, to raise the siege, when sovereign waged the sword. To life's last pains he dooms his sons and wife, and self-condemned saves his liege's life. Less did the consul, whom the hosts surround, when to the Caudine forks he careless came, and there his head to bow and pass was bound, neath the triumphant Samnite's yoke of shame. This, blamed at home, an inborn firmness found, to yield him singly, true to constant aim. This other yieldeth self and innocent seed and wife, more glorious and more grievous deed. Seest thou the brave, who, left his ambuscade, falls on the king besieging yon tall town, the town unsieging, and the king waylaid? Illustrious action Mars might call his own. See him, here went he, limbed in yon armade, till eke at sea the Moormen slain or flown, lost all their galleys, while he claims the prize that heads our host of maritime victories. Fuage roupinho 'tis, o'er wave and land, his name shall aye respland with equal light, reflecting flames that lit his daring hand in Moorman galleys under Abila's height. See how at just and saintly war's command, happy he loses life in holy fight, enters by Moorish hands the heavenly calm, his soul triumphant with the well-won palm. Seest not this gathering, in strange garb that came, swarming from out yon navy new and brave, who hope our first of kings, the foe to tame, and leading list in saintly proof they gave? Behold Enrique, knight of peerless fame, and eke the palm that grew beside his grave. Through them his marvels God to men hath shown, Germans be they the martyrs Christ shall own. Behold a churchman, brandishing his cane, against a raunches which he takes, the chance of Laria venging lately ta'en, by men who couch for Baphomet the lance. 'Tis Theotonio, prior. See again, besieged Santarém, and shalt see the glance assured that figures on the muir, and first wave o'er the walls the quinal banner durst. See, here he hies, where low our Sancho layeth, the Vandal Moor who in fierce fight atones, pierceth the ponent host his ancient slayeth, and trails this phallic pennon o'er the stones. Main Muniz he, who in his life portrayeth the valor buried with his father's bones, dying of these banners, since his force ne'er failed to raise his own, to rout what terror assailed. Behold that other, sliding down his spear, bearing 2 head of sentinels he slew, better to hide his ambush. Now appear his braves whose might and sleight the town o'erthrew. And now her scutcheon shows the cavalier proper, who holds in hand the culprit 2 cold ghastly heads, a deed ne'er done indeed, Giraldo sem pavor, the stout name read. Sees not a Spaniard who, dissatisfied with our 9th King Afonso, by old hate of Lara moved, with the Moor abide, in friendship hostile toward Portugal's state? Abrantes town he takes accompanied by the hard infidel, his Moorish mate. But see, a Portugal with power so spare rout him, and stoutly lead him prisoner. Martim Lopes, the knight by name is known, who from the traitors palms and laurels took. But here, behold, the bishop militant shone, who changed for steely lance his golden crook. See him, mid faithless faithful found alone, fight to refuse refusing, shake and shock the cruel Moorman. See, in shining skies, the sign whereby his few he multiplies. See, fly the kings of Cordoba and Seville, routed with other twain in shortest tale, routed, nay, rather, ruined, miracle God-wrought, not worked by arm of mortal frail. See Alcácer low bend her haughty will, ne tars of flesh, ne walls of steel avail, 'gainst Lisbon's bishop, Dom Mateus. See, crowned with the palmy crown, there standeth he. Behold a master of Castilian line, a Portugal by right of birth, or run, Algarve's kingdom till she shows no sign of men-at-arms his forth hath not undone. By guile, and might, and main, and star benign, towns, castles, cities, all are stormed and won. Soon, spite her townsmen, to Villa town he breaks, and for the 7 slain hunters vengeance takes. See him, with Bellic arts from Moormen gain, silves, they gained with enormous host. Paio Correia 'tis, who might and main and cunning purpose men envy most. Nor passed the fighting 3 in France and Spain, who won a name that never shall be lost, for tourney, challenges, and joustings gay, winning of public trophies, proud display. Seize them, how clapped adventurers they came, Castilward, whence alone the prize and pride they bore, the winnings of Bologna's game, as to their loss all found a fall who tried. See them strike down the knights of proudest fame, who of the 3 the principal defied. 'Tis Gonçalo Ribeiro, name so brave, hath naught to fear from Lethe's whelmy wave. To one attend, whose fame so far extendeth, that with no fame of old she rests content, who, when his country on a thread dependeth, lends stalwart shoulders to the burthen bent. Seest not how anger-flushed he reprehendeth the coward throng's suspicions cold and lent, and makes the wretches hail the gentle reign of home-born king, not foreign suzerain? See him, with daring and advice replete, God-guarded only, and by holy star, make possible the impossible, and defeat one-handed proud Castilia's power of war. See how by valor aided, might and wit, in second slaughter victory similar, he gains o'er those who, fierce as infinite, dwell betwixt Tartessus and Guadiana's vale. Seest not already, all but overthrown, our Lusitanian power, when left his line, the Capitaine devout, who wends alone to invoke that essence, the most highest shrine? Now see him summoned hastily by his own, who plead that fortune must perforce incline to whelming force, and pray his presence cheer the soldiers, and enforce their feeble fear. Yet see the careless, holy confidence wherewith "'Tis not yet time," he answered, as one in God reposing trust immense of human victory won by heavenly aid. E'en so Pompilius, hearing the offence of enemies urging o'er his land the raid, to him who brought the heavy news, replies, "But I, you see, am offering sacrifice. If one whose bravery rests his God upon, perchance thou wouldest know how named and known. Portugal's Scipio is the name he won, but Nuno Alvares claims more renown. Happy the land that bare her such a son, or rather sire, for long as suns look down on earth where Ceres enjoy Neptune reign, for such a scion she shall sigh in vain." In the same warfare, see what prizes gaineth this other captain of a slender band. Driving commanders he the drove regaineth, which they had lifted with audacious hand. See how the lance again in gore he staineth, only to free at friendship's firm command his thralled friend, whom honor made a thrall, Pero Rodrigues 'tis of Landroal. Look on this treach tour, and how he payeth his caitiff's trickery and his perjury fell. Gil Fernandes of Elvas 'tis that slayeth the wretch, and sends him to his proper hell. Here in Xeres plain the crops he layeth, with floods of blood that reigneth proud Castile. But see how Rui Pereira's face in front, and shield the galleys bearing battle brunt. See yon 17 to Lusiads who belong, upon this hillock standing, life defend against the Spaniards, who 400 strong to take them captive in their rear extend. But to their sorrow these shall find ere long the stout defenders also can offend, fit dying to last till earth succumb to time, in the far past and present days sublime. How the 300 braves, 'twas known of old, did with 1,000 Romans battle wage, in the good times when virile deeds and bold, which Viriatus did, illumed his age, he snatched memorious triumphs from their hold, bequeathing this our noblest heritage. The brave, though few, shall ne'er the many fear, as Idan's 1,000 times reproved full clear. Pedro and Henry view those infants twain of kingly John, the generous progeny, that guards his fame illustrious to remain in German land, and doometh death to die. This prince, inspired by heaven, claimed the main as her explorer, and laid bare the lie of Tumid Moor's vain boast in Seta's wall, and forced the gateway, entered first of all. Ceased country Pedro, daring to support 2 sieges laid by Barbary might entire, and ceased yon other count, who shows the port of earthly Mars in martial force and fire. Sufficeth not to fence Alcacer fort from swarming hosts, his spirit flieth higher, his king's beloved life the brave defends, as Stonewall standing till his own he ends. And here the painters who in art prevail, party had many painted and portrayed, but fail their pencils and their colours fail, prize, praise, and premium of art's life the bread, fold of the vices flowing from the entail of men degenerate, who so far have strayed from valor's paths where trod their illustrious sires, deep mired in vanities and low desires. Those high illustrious fathers who gave birth to generations on their grace depending, fought for fair honor, sternly strove on earth to found a family that could bear descending. Blind, if paternal toils of priceless worth, one name, fame, claim so far and wide extending, they leave their lesser sons but more obscure, when left in crapulous vice to live impure. Alls there be others, sons of wealth and might, who to no lordly tree by birth belong, fault of the kings, who oft some favourite prefer to thousands, wise and true and strong. For these the painted past hath poor delight, feeling vain colours work them present wrong, and aye as natural foe in hate they bear the speaking pictures which their semblance wear. Again say I not that some of high descent, from wealthy houses, men of generous train, still with their noble lives and excellent herited titles worthily sustain. And if the light which ancestry hath lent no novel glory by their doings gain, at least it faileth not, nor dim it groweth. But few men like these the painter knoweth. Thus Gama's eloquence told the mighty deeds, disclosed by various tints to stranger view, where art to singular artist hand concedes, depainting nature with her natural hue. The casual's ready glance distinctly reads the certain mute story and the tale so true. 1,000 times he asked, 1,000 heard, each tasteful battle which his eyne preferred. And now the light a doubtful lustre showed, when veiled the mighty lamp its lucent ray beneath the sky's round rim, and luminous glowed on our antipodes the smile of day. The generous crowd of mares and gentoos rode off from the stalwart ship on homeward way, seeking repose and sleep's delicious swoon, to weary beings night tide's gentle boon. Meanwhile those augurs who must fame affy in false opinion, that by sacrifice forecast the future things which dubious lie, through diabolic sign and show they wise, by royal mandate hide black arts to ply, and various offices 'gan exercise, to find what projects brought across the main unheard of foreigners from unknown Spain. By demon agents truthful sign they learn, how doth this novel visitor pretend a yoke perpetual, servitude etern, the race's ruin and its valor's end. The mazed augur, whom the proofs constern, went to the king and tells, e'en as he kenned, the fearful symptoms that had met his sight, by victim bowels brought anon to light. These signs confirming, to a priest devout, a man of mark in mathematics read, from preconceived hatred not remote, 'gainst holy faith that doth all faith exceed, in the false prophet's form of evil note, who drew his being from slave Hagar's seed, Bacchus the hateful in a dream appears, whose hate is doubled by redoubled fears. Guard ye, my children, guard ye, thus he spoke, from snares and perils laid by deadly foes, who o'er the tumid waters hither flock, before the danger more immediate grows. The Moorman, startled by these words, awoke in visionary fear, but soon arose the thought that vulgar dream his brain oppressed, and thus returned he tranquil to his rest. When Bacchus thus returneth, knowest thou not the mighty Maker who the law devised for thy forefathers, he whose will you wot, and lacking whom had many been baptized? I wake for thee, for me dost sleep thou sought? Then by the future soon shall be advised, how these newcomers come with bane and ban, to break the laws I taught to seely man. Until this feeble folk full force hath won, contrive resistance in all manner ways, for easy 'tis upon the rising sun firm eyne to fix on fear of blinding rays, but when to zenith hath his race been run, the strongest eyesight that would dare to gaze remaineth dazed, and so shall ye remain, unless ye let them ere the root be ta'en. Then with the dreamer's sleep away he speedeth, trembling remains the astonished Hagarine, springing from couch his slaves bring light he biddeth, the fervid venom festering in his spleen. As the pale dawnlight which the sun precedeth displayed her angel cheek and brow serene, convoked the doctors of the turpid sect, he of his vision renders count direct. Divers opinions couched contrary are told and heard, as each best understood. Astute waylayings, argued treachery, were worked and woven in their vengeful mood. But shirking treason which made danger dree, they sought the spilling of the stranger's blood, with plots and projects of the subtlest school, by bribes the rulers of the land to rule. With golden bribe, rich fee, and secret gift, they strive the country principals to please, showing, with proofs discreet of notable drift, how shall perdition all the people seize. These be, they say, a folk of scanty thrift, rovers who run from occidental seas, piratic rapine is their sole design, sang roi, or human or divine. Ah, how behooves the king who rules aright to choose his counsellors or his friends beloved, by rule of conscience, virtue's inner light, whose pride sincere affection long have proved. The man exalted to that dizzy height, the kingly throne, of things from note removed, can gain no notice sure, no knowledge clear, save what th' adviser's tongue will teach his ear. Much less I counsel kings to rest secure in the clear conscience of the men who show of humble pauper cloak the form of lure. Ambition haply lurketh rags below, and men in all things pious, just, and pure, often of worldly knowledge little know, for ill shall trustful innocence take part in mundane matters when God holds the heart. But each and every casual, gross in greed, the puissant rulers of the Gentile herd, gained by the glozings of the hellish breed, unto the Portingal's dispatch deferred. Whereon the Gama, whose one only heed, despite the mischief by the Moorman stirred, was at the kingly feet sure sign to lay of the discovered world left far away, worketh for this alone, as well he knew that, when sure tidings and clear proofs appear, arms, armour, ships, and men would send anew Manuel, the king who rules the realm some peer, that to his yoke and law he would subdue the globed earth and e'en the watery sphere. Himself was nothing but the diligent hand that pioneered the road to Orient land. The gentle monarch forth he fares to find, that with dismissal he may wend his ways, seeing already how the Moor's black mind would bulk his heart's desire by long delays. The king, who, if by tales of forged kind amazed were, 'twould not so much amaze, confiding fully in his augur's troth, confirmed too by Moorman's wordy froth, feels fear of freezing his ignoble breast, burneth on other hand a base desire, which ever held his spirit in arrest, flaming with lucre's lust's unquenchable fire. The richest profit sees he manifest appear in future, if with truth entire he make just contract and its consequent gain for long years offered by our Lusian reign. Hereon the counsellors whom the king most prized different counsels and opinions dealt, for those whereby he wont to be advised, money's almighty magic might have felt. To call our valiant captain he devised, and him when come thus spake: Now, an thou wilt, here in my presence own the rude clean truth, thy felon action still shall claim my ruth. The message, say they, and I understand, thy king hath sent me, is a falsehood vain. No king doth own thee, ownest thou no land, but leadest begging life upon the main. Say, who, from ultimate Hispanian strand, or king or lord past hope of cure and saint, would send his navies or one ship to stray over such distant oceans' dubious ways? And if great wealthy kingdoms doth thy king sway, as thou sayest with kingly majesty, what rich rare presents do I see thee bring, earnests of doubtful unknown verity? The splendid robe, the costly offering, betwixt high king and king link amity. I hold no valid sign, no certain pledge, the pleas of vagrant seamen may allege. If, as hath happed to many a high-born brave, perchance in exile be your lot to roam, my land shall lend you refuge, and shall save, for every country's the strong man's home. If ye be pirates housed upon the wave, own it me, fear nor infamy nor doom, for in all ages life to save must be the primal law of life's necessity. He thus. The Gama, who divined the game perfidious, with a cunning treason played by jealous Mahometic hearts, whence came the foul suspicions which the king misled, with high-souled confidence, as did beseem, commanding credence which he merited, bowing to Venus Acidelia's hest, preferred this answer from his prudent breast: If man's original sin in hoary time, whereby sore fall became our hapless fate, had never caused the cup of deadly crime, that cruel scourge of every Christian state, with enmity to brim in every clime, for Adam's sons with falsity innate, O king sublime, of that foul turpid sect, ne'er hadst thou held me of such deeds suspect. But, sithence naught is won or good or high, some stumbling blocks, and sees each nobler deed on fair hope's footstep, fear a following nigh, which on its bosom sweat delights to feed. Beseems thou deignest little to rely on this my very truth, nor takest heed of other reasons, which regard thou must, didst thou not trust to men unworthy trust. For, an I be a robber, rapine fed, undivigus, far banished from mine own, how can I, thinkest thou, so far have sped, to seek these seats unseen, these realms unknown? By what false hope, what love of profit led, should I, mid angry seas my lot have thrown, Antarctic rigours and the fires of air, which they who dwell beneath the ram must bear? If thou demand that gifts of high degree must the good credit of my words maintain, I came but stranger climes and skies to see, where nature chose to set thine ancient reign. But if my fortune grants such good to me, home to return and fatherland regain, by rich and splendid presents thou shalt learn the sure tidings of my glad return. If this my visit chance inopportune seem, that king should send from far Hesperian strand, know that yon noble heart and bosom deem no jest, no possible feat too great and grand. Well seems it fitting that the thought supreme of Lusian spirit should at least command larger belief and faith of loftier flight, and hold it boundless in its height and might. Know that long ages passed since our old kings with a settled purpose 'gan propose to conquer toils and travails manifold, which aid to noble plans their power oppose. They oped hostile seas that fain withhold from mortal man the boon of soft repose. They willed to trace their bounds, to track their shore, the farthest margin where the billows roar. Conceit right worthy of his branch so blest, that venturous king, who ploughed in primal rank the waves and drave from out his well-loved nest the last possessor of Mount Abila's flank. He, by rare genius, toils that never rest, unto one plank conjoining other plank, disclose the parts where shine in clearest air Argo with Hydra, Ara with the hair. These early seeds abundant harvest bore, and waxed our bosoms braver, till we came, little by little, stranger paths to explore, developing each an antecedent aim. The latest dwellers on the Blackmoor shore, Austral, whose eye ne'er saw the sevenfold flame, were seen by us when left behind in turn whatever peoples 'neath the tropic burn. Thus, with firm bosom, fixed resolve to win, we vanquished fortune, and we snatched the prize, till harboured this thy new-found kingdom in, we taught the crowning column here to rise. Cleaving perforce clean through the liquid tin, horrible tempests, importunities, to thee we come, and only pray from thee some sign and signal which our king shall see. This, king, be truth, nor deem that I would make for such uncertain good such petty gain, which, being my words untrue, mote be the stake such long proemium forged false and vain. Liefer would I my rest unending take on the fierce restless bosom of the main, by Mother Thetis rocked, a pirate dour, who makes his wealth by making others poor. If then, O king, this honest truth of mine thou take for what it is, one-fold, sincere, aid us, to our dispatch thy heart incline, and gust of glad return to mar forbear. But on my tale appear some feigned design, heed thou my pleadings proved so fair and clear, as seen by judgment lights that never fail, for truth is strong, and truth shall aye prevail. The attentive monarch felt assured content, when thus da Gama proved his discourse, conceives in him reliance confident, and the firm trust that lent his language force. He weighs of every word the full intent, pondering the pleading from such trusty source, and 'gins to hold as men by self-deceived those caitiff catchwolves who had bribes received. Jointly his lucre-lust claims firm effect, which Lusian contract shall, he hopes, ensure. Hope bids him listen, and far more of fact the captain's honour than the crafty Moor. In fine, he biddeth Gama hie direct aboard, and thence from hurt and harm secure the fittest stuffs from traffic shoreward send, against his spicy stores to truck or vend. The stuffs to send, in fine, he gives command, which in Gangetic realms the rarest be, if aught of value brought he from the land, where ends the shore and where begins the sea. Now from the royal presence venerand, the captain seeks the port to make his plea before the catchwell honoured with his charge, for loan of boat as his were all at large. For boat whereby to board his ship he pleadeth, yet the bad regent, plotting novel snare, wherein to trap the stranger, not concedeth, but stay and hindrance straightway doth prepare. Then, faring from the quay, his guest he leadeth far from the royal palaces, and there, where kens the monarch not of such intent, would work the mischief which his malice meant. When reached the distant site, he 'gan to say, fitting conveyance should be soon supplied, or to the dawning of the crescent day, the passage to defer he best decide. But now perceived from prolonged delay, the Gama how the Canto was allied with the deep plotting Moor's revengeful brood, truth he had not hereto understood. This catchwell also gifts and bribes had ta'en, tempted like others by the Moslem folk. Eke was he chief who held the guiding rein of all the cities neath the Samring's yoke. From him alone the Moormen looked to gain their base and wicked wills by hook or crook. He, who in concert vile with them conspires, despaireth not to glut their ill desires. To him the Gama, with much instance praise, for passage shipward, but without avail. For thus had order given, as he says, the proud successor of the Perimel. What cause of hindrance here? Why these delays, to land the stuffs and goods of Portugal? Subjects perforce obey what kings command. Who dares their dreadful orders countermand? That bribed catchwell lent no heed as due to the high words. Nay more, he racked his thought to find some subtle fantasy anew, some deep and devilish scheme, some monstrous plot, or how his brutal steel he might imbrue in that detested blood he ever sought, or how the vessels he might blast and burn, that none and naught therein may home return. That none to fatherland return intendeth, and nothing less, the Moslem's fiendish plan. So ne'er shall ken how far and wide extendeth the owen land our sovereign Lusitan. In fine, goes not the Gama, whom forfendeth of those barbarian hordes the ruling man, lacking whose permit none might leave the beach, as all the boats were borne beyond his reach. To the chief's reasons in rough words replieth, that idol worshipper he must command to bring near shore the fleet that distant lieth, so mote it easier be to board and land. Of foe or thief the tactic it implieth, when in far offing does the vessel stand, quoth he, for ne'er shall true and trusty friend from those he loveth danger apprehend. Should Gama seeth in each wily word the catchwell's drift, who fain would bring the fleet nearer, where dire assault of flame and sword were ready made for wrecking mortal hate. His thoughts he scatters better aid afford, he seeks in fancy's realm some cure discreet, some counterplot gainst evil plans prepared. In fine, he feared all, for all he cared. As beam reflected by the burnished bright mirror of steel, or glass plate crystal clear, which sometimes struck by ray of solar light, and other part restrikes the dazzling glare, and waved by wanton hand of curious pride about the house to sparkle here and there, where walls and roofs the shimmering species place, though rest its tremulous, fitful, quivering rays, so did his vaguing judgment fluctuate, when captive Gama's memory brought to mind Coelho, lest he peradventure wade ashore with boats as by command designed. With message privily sent, he warned his mate, fast for the fleet his homeward way to find, lest he fall lightly in the bitter lace he feared the fierce fell work of Moorish race. Such should be he who would, by grace of Mart, follow the illustrious and their fame outvie, His nimble thought must fly to every part, see through, and scape the danger ere 'tis nigh. The soldier instinct rare and subtle art must read, mark, learn his baffled enemy, note all, in fine. Nor shall that captain's lot be praise of mine who pleads I thought it not. Insists the Malabar his guest remain prisoner till orders bring the Armada near. He constant, fired with hot-high disdain, hears every menace with unfrightened ear. Rather shall he the weight on self sustain which vilest malice born of hate and fear machinates, than to shade of risk expose his liege's navy riding safe from foes. That livelong night in durance vile he lies, and of next day apart when he ordains once more to see the king, but leave denies the guard that not a few of men contains. To tempt with other tricks the gentle tries, fearing his monarch pay him for his pains, and shun the malice which must soon be known, if there a longer time the stranger wone. He bids him order every stuff be brought straight shoreward, all he hath of vendible, that they might duly bartered be or bought, for who nils commerce war is one to will. Though knows the Gama what felonious thought and damnable desires that bosom fill, yet he consenteth, for right well knows he, with these same stuffs he buys his liberty. Concert they now the Blackmoor shall prepare launches and lighters fit the wares to land. To trust his boats our captain did not care, where foam might capture or might hold in hand. Put forth Dalmades for the beach to bear Hesperian stuffs, the best he mote command. He writes his brother, fearing all delay, to send the bales that shall his blackmail pay. The merchandise now landed is ashore, whereby that greedy catchwell 'tis ta'en. Alvaro and Diego guard the store, with leave to truck or van as best they can. That more than duty, than obedience more, gain rules the ignoble breast of lawless men. Well doth that pagan to the worldling show, for gain the goods he let the Gama go. He lets him go, for in the goods he thought to hold sufficient pledge and pawn that may a better penny to his purse be brought, than if for longer time our chief he stay. The Gama, certain that no more he ought to land, and haply counter fresh delay, and to his vessels being now restored, resolves with tranquil mind to bide aboard. Aboard the ships he bides with mind at ease, till seen what circumstance the days shall show. For now his spirit no reliance sees upon that bribed regent, vile and low. Here let the casuists who riddle these see how the wealthy as the wantful too are ruled by lucre and the noxious thirst of gain that Garzas dare and do the worst. By Thracia's sovereign Polydore is slain, only to have and hold his wealthy store. The guarded edifice may not contain Acrisia's daughter 'gainst the golden shower. So raged Tarpeia's avarice insane, that she intruck for shining yellow ore the lofty towers to the foe betrayeth, and stifled, crushed, the prize of treasure prayeth. This opes of warded fort the valvard wall, maketh the felon friend his faith forgo. This changeth noblest thane to vilest thrall, and yieldeth captains to the luring foe. This maketh purest maiden foully fall, and know no fear, no wreck of honour trow. This art and science shall at times deprave, blind sanest judgment, consciences enslave. This loves to gloss with subtler sense than meant the texts. This maketh laws and laws unmaketh. This tainteth subjects with a traitor taint. This in the patriot king the tyrant waketh. In he, self-vowed to the omnipotent, as proved by thousand instances, forsaketh God's way by gold's enchanting siren wooed, yet haply showing still some tint of good. End of Canto VIII.